Morning, guys. Former President Donald Trump taking the stage at MSG, making a bold final pitch to tens of thousands of voters in the deep blue state, which included a promise to bring back the American dream.
This will be America's new golden age. It's going to happen quickly, too, very quickly. The fate of our nation is in your hands. Next Tuesday, you have to stand up and you have to tell Kamala Harris that you've done a terrible job, that crooked Joe Biden has done a terrible job. You've destroyed our country. We're not going to take it anymore. Kamala, you're fired. Get out. Get out. You're fired. On issue after issue, Kamala broke it, but I will fix it.
Trump also celebrating the Republican Party becoming a party of inclusion after receiving support from voters in traditionally Democrat voting blocs.
We're seeing historic levels of support among our black population, Hispanic population, and our Asian population. Jews, Muslims, they're all joining our cause in large numbers, larger than anyone has ever seen in this country before, larger than they've ever seen in any country. And the Republican Party has really become the party of inclusion.
And the rally was filled with special appearances as several big-name speakers shared why they think Donald Trump should be the next president. Watch.
We're going to make life affordable again in the United States of America. We're going to put the American dream of homeownership within reach for millions of American young people. We're going to secure our border.
I'm not just MAGA. I'm Gothic MAGA. The energy in this room is incredible. America is going to reach heights that it has never seen before. The future is going to be amazing.
He's proven to be the strong leader allies and adversaries alike must respect. He's proven he loves this country so much, he's literally put his life on the line for it. What is the other candidate proving?
Other speakers included Hulk Hogan, Dr. Phil, Robert F. Kennedy Jr., Tulsi Gabbard, Vivek Ramaswamy, House Speaker Mike Johnson, and many, many more. And former First Lady Melania Trump also making a surprise appearance to introduce her husband and talk about his vision for America's future.
America's most fearless leaders, whose mark changed the course of the world. New York City and America needs their magic back. A country of tomorrow that will shape our future and reset expectations for the generations. Let us charge together with a shared vision that builds on American greatness. Let's seize this moment and create a country for tomorrow, the future that we deserve.
Former President Donald Trump will be back on the campaign trail today in Georgia with just 8 days to go. Guys.
The war is turned.
Vive la liberté. You must order the surrender.
How could it come to this? An army of rabble, peasants. Everything will change. Everything has changed.
I love that Elon Musk face swap, man. That's great. Oh, baby. We are coming in hot from last night. Here we go. We are ready to rock and roll. Literally got on the first flight out of New York to get back into the studio for you, and I'm so happy that we did it. One, because we love you, and two, because we were part of a historic moment last night that needs to have the proper place in history set. And we're going to do it. I am so disgusted by the lies about what happened at Madison Square Garden last night. I am so turned up with energy from what just happened, because that rally was the single greatest political rally in American history, quite frankly. And there's a reason why they're trying to destroy its legacy. There's a reason why Donald Trump should do a rally in Madison Square Garden probably every single year, maybe multiple times a year. Because it keeps pissing them off. And also because it shows that Trump can do something that they could never, ever imagine. It shows that Trump and this durable movement is something that is going to outlive them and outlive their capacity to try and silence, jail, bully, shut us up. It shows that this is a cultural movement of extreme love, diversity, and inclusivity. Things that they say they cherish, yet never practice. And ultimately, what we saw last night was energy. Pure, raw, unadulterated energy of this movement. And it's a spiritual energy at this point. And I think that the libs, I think that the other side is so terrified of that they are just going to lash out, quite frankly, demonically and psychotically over what's happening. And that's what you're seeing right now. And it will be their destruction. I say go. I say go. And we would know because we sat in the front row. Ladies and gentlemen, today is Monday, October 28th, 2024. Trump sells out Madison Square Garden. Libs seethe as Kamala collapse continues. Oh, baby. We are just 7 days away from the general election. Alina Habba joins the program today, along with other special guests, pollsters, and my comrade in arms, ALX, who was there with me last night, Madison Square Garden. My name is Benny Johnson, and this is The Benny Show. Whoo boy, we need our blackout coffee this morning. We need our as much caffeine as we can possibly get. I'm probably gonna ask for an iced coffee to be brought to me during this show. So why don't we go ahead and get Eric on that? I need more caffeine. Sorry, we didn't sleep. We just didn't sleep. We left at 5 a.m. yesterday, got into New York, filmed all day. That's being edited right now. We're going to show you exactly what it looked like behind the scenes at Madison Square Garden. Really excited. We're going to publish that tonight. And then, didn't really, quite frankly, have any time to get any sleep last night. Got on a plane to be back here to do the show. So our blackout coffee, ladies and gentlemen, that we always have cooling in the fridge or brewing in a pot, keeps us going. This is 100% American coffee. It is no grift. It is for real, and it's a family company here out of Florida. Go to blackoutcoffee.com/Benny, blackoutcoffee.com/Benny. 20% off your first order, blackoutcoffee.com/Benny. Promo code Benny. All right, ladies and gentlemen. Donald Trump at Madison Square Garden. We were invited to go to Madison Square Garden by the Trump team. They said, this is going to be an epic one. Why don't you come on in? Little did we know that we'd be sitting right here, ladies and gentlemen. This was our seat at the very hard to really describe it. Like an actual cutout. Look at this. So it's an actual pause. It's an actual cutout, like inside of the security barrier there at Madison Square Garden. So we're literally like inside the president's box. It's a great honor. We want to say thank you to the people at the Trump campaign that made this happen for us. It was a historic honor to be part of it. Across the way was Elon Musk, Speaker Mike Johnson, J.D. Vance, Vivek Ramaswamy, Matt Gaetz, Byron Donalds, Melania Trump. We sat there staring at Melania Trump and Elon Musk the whole night. Just like, yeah, it's like amazing. Hulk Hogan, and of course you get to see everybody do their walk right there. That's the walk. And so they walk right by us. So it was really like It was incredible. I mean, this side of being a speaker, which we would have. I think we would have probably been the controversial ones. We would have been the one they'd be coming to cancel if they had let us have that mic. Probably a smart idea. They didn't. But this was something that was utterly profound, and we're deeply thankful for. Gave us an access point to see the rally, the speakers, and the energy up front, very personally and very close. You can really tap into that energy. And I'll begin by saying this, because we have Alina Habba, who's going to be joining the program right away here. And I want to just like set the table by saying this. Last night, at what the left is calling a hate rally, I saw Orthodox Jews praying. I saw the vast majority of the audience being either immigrants, black, Puerto Rican. I sat right next to a famous rapper named Flavio Foreign. He was dripping and covered in diamonds. This is a famous rapper that was there just to like rep Trump. This was a rally that had Israeli flags flying at it. This was a rally that had American flags flying at it. This was a rally of love and of a movement that looks, quite frankly, very much like America today. A movement that simply says, we want everyone to live peacefully. We do not want to warmonger. We want everyone to be safe. We want American taxpayer dollars spent on Americans. And we want to rebuild this once great nation. And that actually is something that doesn't have a color or creed attached to it. That's something that is universal, actually. It's spiritual. I watched speakers who were Hindu, Vivek Ramaswamy, speakers who were Jewish, Stephen Miller, on stage. I watched speakers who were Orthodox Christian take the stage. And then I watched speakers who were probably like deist, I think is the best way to describe Elon Musk. And ladies and gentlemen, they were all welcome. Everybody had this big, giant, warm hug wrapped around them last night in what can only be described as a movement that is spiritual. And what can only be described as a movement that at its core is actually spiritual, has become spiritual in nature. I think people watched President Trump be spared by a bullet. And actually one of the speakers last night, Tony Hinchcliffe, who's a hilarious comedian, said, you know, we're going to vote in a few days, but God voted 3 months ago. Whew, man, leave it to him to have the best line actually of the night. That was profound. I think that people have realized that this is a spiritual movement in nature and are locking into that energy. That's what I felt electrically pulsing through Madison Square Garden last night. It is the opposite of what they say in the corporate media, and what they are saying will be their undoing, actually. Because I'm now going to push for Trump to have a Madison Square Garden rally every freaking year. Ladies and gentlemen, we have more to say on this, but joining us live now is one of the speakers from last night, the great Alina Habba, to see if perhaps she agrees with me. Alina, good morning. How are you? And congratulations on an absolute banger of a speech, I think is the best way to call it. A true heater with a fashion statement to boot.
Yeah, my jacket was special. I got that as a gift, actually, from somebody at the RNC. And
look at this.
Yeah, there it was.
Look at you. Look at this. Best walk-on song of the night. I'm sorry, Alina. I have to say it.
I picked it and I said, you know, I like hip hop, so we're going to have to find something that works for me. And they were laughing, but yeah, I draped my jacket right there. That was it.
What an egg. That's just so good, Alina.
That's for you, Hillary. That's for you. Because they make you feel like you're part of some fascist, horrible thing when all you're doing is loving America. And yes. That energy, as you can see, I was I think I was the second speaker of the night, and I was just so honored to be asked to speak and to be there. I mean, I grew up waiting in line to go to Madison Square Garden for concerts, and to then be on the stage as a first generation American is truly the American dream right there. I couldn't even tell you. I was emotional. My family was there, and I was just honored. It was something. The energy and the electricity is something only you could get at a Trump rally. It was really special, and it was all positive and exciting. And it was
this audience loves you, Alina. This audience loves you so much. I mean, seriously, you have massive fans in this audience. And I got to tell you, 10 out of 10.
Thank you.
There are some speakers who grab the energy and bring it unto themselves and like reflect it back to the audience, which the audience always loves. And you did that.
Oh, thank you. Yeah, I saw you dancing too. I pointed at you. You were dancing. I saw you get excited with this music. You know what? I love it. There is nothing. I started as the president's lawyer, as everybody knows, and I talked about it last night. But to be able to find a voice in this very important campaign with just a few days left, oh, there we are, just a few days left to win back our country is really an honor. And I don't take it lightly. And I try and bring 110% every time I get to take the stage with the president. It's really an honor.
I've never called for media outlets to be banned. I think it's antithetical to my nature. And it's antithetical to what we preach on this program. But having seen the slanderous, violence-inciting rage bait from MSNBC, calling this a Nazi rally, you're Jewish.
I'm married to a Jewish man. I'm Catholic.
You're Catholic. You're married to a Jewish man.
I'm Arab. I'm Catholic. I'm married to a Jew. I go to temple.
Arab Catholic, married to a Jewish man. Okay, got it. That doesn't sound like a primo speaker at a Nazi rally.
No, it's funny. My husband.
Arab Catholic, married to a Jewish man. Okay, yeah, I don't think so.
Yeah, host Passover. So I literally said, my husband had a sentence in my speech that I ended up taking out. But he wanted me to open it and say, this is not a Hitler rally. And the only time, where were you guys when you were screaming about Hitler and fascism on October 7th, when there were thousands of people being slaughtered? Where were you? You were silent. And personally, for our family, you know, to be from the Middle East, to have Israeli roots with my husband, to have all of that, to use words like that, and then say that we are the ones with the rhetoric, is really something. I mean, the hypocrisy is beyond anything. And you know what? The media should be held accountable for using crazy words like that. That Time magazine, Marxism, Hitler, that commentary is incredibly damaging and troubling, frankly.
It seems like the final last demonic scream of a losing movement. The final play, this big October surprise we've been hearing is calling Trump Hitler. Really? Easily debunked Atlantic articles about Donald Trump that have been disavowed on this program and many others by the people who were in the room. And then saying that because a rally was at Madison Square Garden, by the way, it's not the same Madison Square Garden as in 1939, and also FDR, Lyndon Baines Johnson, JFK, the Democratic Convention was at Madison Square Garden.
Hillary Clinton.
Yes.
Herself, the person saying that we are, which is exactly, by the way, when I wrapped my jacket and I said, this is for you, Hill. I said, I'm sick and tired of them using the word MAGA like it's a curse word, like it's a cult. We're not a cult. Oh, you know what? Maybe we are. Maybe the cult is patriotism because we love America and we're afraid of losing our country, which is what the Democratic Party have done. And so if I'm going to be part of a team, that's what I would call it. The team is America. Okay. And President Trump happens to be the best candidate to get back to America. And that's the team I'm on. It's not demonic. They're demonic. And the behavior of them inside, and I mentioned it last night, that's demonic behavior. And we need to get them the hell out of the White House.
Yes. Yes. I mean, it does feel like an occupied country right now by dark and evil forces. And last night felt spiritual. And I don't mean to go there, right? We don't often talk about faith on this program. I don't ply people's faith. Maybe we should do more of it, but we focus generally on politics. But it's hard. It was hard. It was impossible, actually. I got teary-eyed multiple times last night. It was hard to not absorb the spiritual energy in the room of people from many, many different faith backgrounds. I mean, there were Orthodox Jews that were praying during the event. There was a Hindu speaker. There were speakers, I think, of all faith backgrounds. but there's this predominant spiritual energy, I think, best summed up by Tony Hinchcliffe saying God voted 3 months ago for who he wanted for president.
Yeah.
And I think that this movement has become something different, Alina. Have you felt like the vibe shift?
Yeah.
As you've been out on the road?
Yeah, I've been on this journey with him for, the past 3.5 years or whatever it's been. I don't know, since the fall of whatever year. I've been with him in so many different dimensions, and the love that we're getting at this moment, which is very different than in the trials, very different. And we had a ton of support then too. But this has been truly moving. I mean, you don't mind losing sleep or not sleeping at all. In fact, I have to hop off of this show to go to Georgia right now. But I have to tell you, Benny, you hit the nail on the head, and the energy there in such a big place to feel so much love, but to really feel it. It didn't feel like a big venue. It felt like home. And everybody just supported each other. There was love, there was encouragement, and nobody got tired. And we were there for a long time. That's because of that man right there and his beautiful wife. So I'm very honored, and thank you for having me.
We love you. We love you, Alina. And the libs need to learn how to take a joke. You've done social media posts about this. Learn how to take a joke. Like libs need to learn that, like, some people are professional comedians. Yeah, get a life. That's right. Get a life. We love you, Alina. Thank you.
Love you. Bye.
Ladies and gentlemen, we wanted to bring you a speaker from last night because the slanders that are being said about this rally could probably be best summed up with the description of evil from the good book, Steal, Kill, and Destroy, the author of all lies. The lies that are being said about this rally are the laziest, sloppiest, most panic-stricken, low energy drivel I've ever seen. They say that it was a Nazi rally because one time in 1939, the Nazis did a rally at Madison Square Garden. Okay, let's do a couple of quick. Based on everything that we've said, but then let's go even a step further. This isn't even the same Madison Square Garden. You dumb jackasses. Madison Square Garden has been rebuilt 3 different times and moved 3 different times. So this isn't even the same place. So that's how lazy this is. Multiple presidents and multiple political parties, all of them Democrats, have done massive political rallies in Madison Square Garden, including FDR, John F. Kennedy, Lyndon Baines Johnson, Bill Clinton with the 92 convention for the DNC. Never once has this parallel been made. Nor is there anything that you could possibly use as evidence to make that. As demonstrated yesterday, it was a movement of love, care, and appreciation for our country. This is what we experienced. We also experienced, of course, an enormous amount of love from the people that were there. We always enjoy meeting everyone. I mean, as soon as we walk in, it's like just an opportunity to just wrap our arms around the movement. We must have taken 1,000 selfies yesterday. We do this show, and we're very clear about why we do the show. We do the show for your children, for my children, to save this country, to be part of something, to instill that we are a part of a movement, and that is a movement of victory. That is a movement that is victorious and that actually has a guiding principle and a guiding light, something worth fighting for. Ladies and gentlemen, walking around outside, the entire streets were packed with MAGA hats. You've never seen anything like it. There were 70,000 people that couldn't get into the rally. There were hundreds of thousands of people that stood outside and watched because they couldn't get in. Again, we are thankful for those at Team Trump that helped us actually get in, because we probably would have been stuck just like everyone else. The anchoring of this movement is the expanding of this movement to people that perhaps wouldn't normally, call themselves political or MAGA. People that are making very brave steps right now, like Joe Rogan, who has the biggest podcast on earth. Elon Musk, of course, one of the bravest men to ever live, actually, with the amount of skin that he's putting in the game. Hulk Hogan was there last night. And the expanding power of the culture that we're building is, I think, what really terrifies them. And as I step back, I find two things that horrify the left the very most about what we all did at Madison Square Garden last night. Number one is we are more culturally powerful than them. Beyonce, arguably, without question, one of the biggest celebrities living today. Beyonce. I totally disagree with that she deserves it, but there it is. Kamala Harris had to trick her supporters in Texas into showing up for a free Beyonce concert, and they weren't able to pack an arena as full as Madison Square Garden last night. The same night Donald Trump goes on Joe Rogan, that's up to 33 million views. How many million views does that got? Beyonce, the coverage of Beyonce endorsing Kamala Harris has what must be like the smallest possible fraction of that. Last time I checked, it had like 500,000 views. Beyonce endorsing Kamala Harris. The left's cultural power has completely and totally eroded. They don't know what to do. They're in panic. Their support is fake. And they know that Kamala Harris would never, ever have the capacity to fill Madison Square Garden. She couldn't. Try it. Joe Rogan, by the way, filled Madison Square Garden in like minutes. 33 million. What I mean by that is that we watched the Joe Rogan ticker go live. We were all online. We were all waiting for it to happen. And Joe Rogan goes live. And there was probably 20,000 views with Joe Rogan's Trump interview. What do you say, ALX? Within a minute, within a few minutes, I mean, it's doing 1 million views an hour is what this thing is doing. So that's filling a Madison Square Garden like instantly on the Joe Rogan podcast. That's how powerful the culture that we are creating is. It's real, actual, real support. And this is the second part that's so horrifying for these deeply mentally ill people on the left. It's expanding. Okay, I want to talk about a guy named Tony Hinchcliffe. I think I'm saying that right. Am I saying that right, Alex? Tony Hinchcliffe. Hinchcliffe. My apologies. I know him as Kill Tony. Kill Tony. ALX says that there was 215,000 views in 16 minutes on the Joe Rogan Donald Trump podcast, and they put it unlisted actually because of a Spotify upload error. This photo, put this up, Klein. Tony Hinchcliffe is a comedian. Maybe you haven't heard of him. Maybe you have. I've heard of him because, well, I first started to get to know him because he's in the Joe Rogan orbit. He hosts a show called Kill Tony that is the most popular comedy show in the world right now. Tony Hinchcliffe is one of the most powerful and successful comedians working today. To say he's in the top 5, maybe the top 3 most powerful and successful comedians working in the country. Tony sold out Madison Square Garden multiple times over the last months. I've watched, actually. I mean, they go live during their shows for a show called Kill Tony. Tony's close personal friends are some of the biggest comedians on earth, some of the most powerful comedians on earth. And obviously he's someone who's regularly platformed, does his show out of Joe Rogan's Comedy Club back in Austin. Tony was also somebody who was the host of the Tom Brady roast. So he has like deep, abiding cultural power from like institutional Hollywood, because all of institutional Hollywood and all the institutional entertainment business showed up for the roast of Tom Brady. Tony had the best set. Like he shut the entire place down. And did so in a way that only a comedian can, by making what some would call naughty jokes about some of the people there that were very deserving, quite frankly, of being roasted. It's called a roast. It's called comedy. Comedy, by its very nature, is something that maybe you're not supposed to say. Something that you're not allowed to say, but a comedian up on stage can say it. Maybe it's true, maybe it's not, but it's really freaking funny. That's what like Seinfeld's all about. It's what every comedy is really about. The absurdity of a moment, the absurdity of something happening that makes you chuckle. That's it. That's what this guy does for a living. I want to talk about the expanding MAGA movement. This is what it looked like yesterday. Look at the sea of MAGA hats all the way back to the Empire State Building. Scroll up, please. Look at that Empire State Building. So you know exactly where this is in New York. The sea of MAGA hats. Ladies and gentlemen, represented perfectly by Tony of Kill Tony yesterday giving a speech. But it's not really a speech, was it? Because he's a comedian. He's a guy who's just going up to talk on, to do an act on stage, crack some jokes, make fun of some people. He's in New York. And maybe his comedy isn't for you. I'm not sure. It tends to be quite offensive, right? Put up B-roll, please, of Tony. Like, please show the people Tony. But this is like the nature of comedy. This is the guy who they're all coming after today. And I want to say my piece on this because we use comedy on this program. One, do they understand that by going after a comedian who told hilarious jokes that are intended to offend, because that's what stand-up comics do. Like, it's a joke, people. Told a joke about Puerto Rico, told a joke about everyone. He was like, this guy, and people were laughing. Some jokes hit, some jokes didn't. But they go after listen, maybe you've never heard of this guy. He's, without a doubt, one of the most powerful comedians working today, without question. He's in the top 3 or top 5, okay? That's how big this guy is. That's how big this guy is, and he's a massive fan base. The left is now trying to cancel him for making jokes. Do they understand that they're doing their job for us? They're proving exactly how joyless, how broken, how completely and totally soulless, how unhappy, how unfunny, how unloving, and how just miserable, frankly, of a movement they are by not being able to take a joke. He roasted everyone. He roasted everyone like a good comedian should. You go listen to a Dave Chappelle stand-up, you're going to, most likely you're going to be offended. Everyone's going to be offended. That makes you feel something, actually, if you still have a soul. It's fun to get roasted. If you have a sense of humor, this is something that, people desire. But it's going to have an opposite effect. They're trying to cancel Kill Tony. Now, this is how psychotic these people have become. Because of jokes like this. Here we go. He made a joke about all of the celebrities endorsing Kamala Harris. This was probably my favorite joke of the night. It absolutely killed. Here we go.
The other side's got a lot of crazy endorsements. Swift, Eminem, Leo DiCaprio, Beyonce. Every day the Democratic Party looks more and more like a P. Diddy party. Oh, okay. Okay, that's what you guys want. All right, heck yeah.
Hilarious. I mean, it's hilarious. I encourage you to go back and rewatch. Hey, Alexa, let's make sure we re-up it on social media. Rewatch Tony roasting Tom Brady and every celebrity in Hollywood. you'll realize that this guy who was like sleeping in the back of his car just a few years ago and worked through his own grit and his own like incredible comedic wit was able to actually break in and become one of the most powerful comedians on earth. You'll see why. Look at him go. This was an incredible moment. Libs are freaking out because this is adding to our movement. A movement needs to add, not subtract. A movement that is laughing, that is joyous. Happy warriors we talk about on this program. These are the kind of movements that attract people. And what happened? Tony makes a joke about like Puerto Rico last night. And the people who are offended are all like the same people who are always offended. The overly medicated, deeply unhappy, liberal white women who live in like a box of misery, just waiting to be offended at all things. Like you're there in the audience in this like incredibly diverse audience. And there was just something for everyone last night. You're there in this incredibly diverse audience and all everyone ever looks to do is be offended. And I think Americans are so sick of it. They're so sick of like the loathsome, hateful, like what truly hateful is like telling people they're not allowed to laugh. Or enjoy themselves. Or like kick back and relax. Or take a joke. It's a joke. Tony responded actually to Tim Walz last night. Can we pop that up, please? So Tim Walz decides that the talking point goes out, right? Trump had a comedian that dared make jokes at his comedy show during the Trump rally. And Tony endorses Donald Trump at the rally and said something very profound. He says, you're going to vote in 7 weeks. I mean, you're going to vote in 7 days. But God voted 3 months ago by saving President Trump from the assassin's bullet. I would say probably that's my favorite line of the night. Tucker Carlson's speech was a banger. Elon Musk's speech was incredible. But that's probably like pound for pound, line for line, the best line of the night. And libs are losing their minds on Kill Tony because they know that by bringing in an audience of people, they are already suffering with men. By bringing in his millions and millions and millions of subscribers and people that just want to joke and laugh and like live in an America that isn't so uptight and pretentious all the time. And gasping to be offended. And by the way, like life is offensive. All right. Like if you want to find something to be offended about, you can go find it. Everything in life is offensive. Everything in life. This water bottle is offensive. Okay? The Benny Brigade keychain is offensive. You can find something. You live in misery when you live like that. Tony saying so. Tim Walz deciding to spend last night on some type of gross Twitch stream with AOC. I'm not sure who's wearing more makeup here. And they're like playing video games. And this is what the vice presidential candidate is deciding to do in the end hours of an election is to sit on a stream with AOC and play video games. Remember, these are the adults in the rooms. But he decided to call Tony Hinchcliffe an a-hole, and Tony responded. These people have no sense of humor. Wild that a vice presidential candidate would take time from his busy schedule to analyze a joke taken out of context to make it seem racist. I love Puerto Rico and I have vacation there. I made fun of everyone, watch the whole set. I'm a comedian, Tim. Might be time to change your tampon. Do you realize that what you're going to get now is a Joe Rogan endorsement? Like they're coming after Joe Rogan's friends. Do they realize what they're doing? Do you realize like what you're presenting to the public here? By being so uptight, by being so joyless, by attacking the comedians that tell jokes at these rallies, by calling them a Nazi rally with literally zero evidence of that. First Nazi rally I've seen to have Jewish speakers, to have a bunch of Orthodox Jews literally praying during the rally. Israeli flags. It's so absurd. I often don't want to like repeat the attack lines, like the fake attack lines, but this one was personal for me because I do believe that it's now a spiritual battle. I do believe that this energy is a demonic energy that is so miserable and that knows that there's a reckoning about to happen. And it was really, really special to be a part of. So, ladies and gentlemen, that was Kill Tony's best joke. I didn't know we had the God voted line. Oh, this is great. Okay, here's arguably my favorite line of the night. Hard to choose, but here we go.
It's the best place to get shot. He went down, saw blood on his hands. I'd imagine he thought right then, I think I just won this shit. Stands up and says the most American words I've ever heard in my life. No. Before that, there was one more. Let me get my shoes. Fearless. Perhaps still with an active shooter. He's talking like a guy that just had the best one-night stand of his life. Right? Like, where's my shoes at? I gotta get the hell out of here. Let me get my shoes. And then the fight. What he did was so cool that Biden got COVID. Oh yeah. Go back, look at the timeline of everything again. 3 days after that. That means that Biden, he didn't get that from hanging out with sick people. He was in a sterile room in the White House, watching blood running down Trump's face as he pumps his fist. Biden's like, oh, fuck. Oh, God, no. It's true. Trump survived an assassination attempt, and Biden got COVID. We vote next week. God voted 3 months ago.
This is why they attack him. That's addition to the movement. By the way, it's like rewatching that is how profound this statement is from somebody who is a Hollywood celebrity. Like like the Tom Brady roast. Every Hollywood celebrity that exists was in that roast. You can take the tweet down now. Every Hollywood celebrity that wanted to be on that Netflix special with Tom Brady was there, and Tony was the closer. This guy's mainstream, and he's going to a Trump rally to endorse Trump, make fun of Biden. That's what actual bravery looks like, because he actually has something to lose. Oh, you're not going to get a job. I don't need a job, right? Like, that's the era that we're entering, which is so you don't need to give Joe Rogan a job. Joe Rogan doesn't need a job. The typical leverage points are gone. You can't even boycott his advertising. They tried that with Rogan. His show's too big. He's too powerful. The movement's real. The people are awake. And that's why they can't stand it. We were in that arena. Alex, how long were we in that arena? 12 hours? We were in that arena for 12 straight hours of nothing but love and appreciation and celebration of America, with this like deep and abiding like sense of purpose that we're going to save this place, and like a tantalizing electric spirit that can only be described as spiritual. It was near religious, and it was really the crystallization, the true formation of a durable movement, and the total remaking of the American political landscape. And it happened last night, and we got to sit there for a front row seat to see it. Man, it was such an honor. Well, the man who pretty much personifies that remaking of the American political landscape, the moment I would argue that Democrats lost the election was when Donald Trump, God spared Donald Trump, the assassin's bullet. But if there was a number two, it had to be RFK's endorsement of Donald Trump. the tables reset in that moment, and they never went back. RFK Jr. welcomed like a conquering hero last night. I mean, just an absolute powerhouse show of force. I think maybe that some of the loudest cheers were for RFK, Elon Musk, Tucker Carlson. I think they maybe got the loudest cheers. Vivek, the people loved Vivek as well. RFK saying, you know what? The Democrat Party left me. And I want to establish something here, that RFK was speaking in the same location that his uncle JFK spoke at in Madison Square Garden, also to 20,000 people. So you want to talk about a through line for history that sends chills up your spine. Here it is.
A lot of people ask me why I left the Democratic Party. And I say, I didn't leave the Democratic Party. The Democratic Party left me. This is not the party anymore of Martin Luther King, of Robert Kennedy, of John Kennedy. That was the party of peace. It was the party of constitutional rights, of civil rights, of freedom of speech. It was the party that wanted to protect and nurture the middle class. It was the party that stood up to censorship, to surveillance, that stood up to the CIA, to the military complex, military-industrial complex. And it was the party that wanted to protect public health and women's sports. My uncle, Ted Kennedy, wrote Title IX, which protected women's sports in college. It was the party that believed in voting rights and fought for the right of every American to vote for the person of their choice. Today's Democratic Party is the party of war. It's the party of the CIA. You had Kamala Harris giving a speech at the Democratic Convention that was written by neocons, that was belligerent, pugnacious, that talked about the domination of the world by the United States through our weapons of war. It's the party today that wants to divide Americans. It's the party that is dismantling women's sports by letting men play women's sports. It's the party of Wall Street. It's the party of Bill Gates, who just gave $50 million.
Boo, Bill Gates, boo. Look at this video. Look at this video that we took from our seat. Look at this. This crowd cheering for a Democrat icon, for recently a Democrat member of Congress, Tulsi Gabbard. This is not about party, and it hasn't been for a very long time. This is not about the Republican Party. This is about the remaking of the American political landscape. That's what this is truly about. And people are being spiritually drawn to it. You can see here, the vibes are immaculate. Tulsi Gabbard walking out. Again, she just changed her party affiliation because she, just like RFK Jr., can say, this is this party of warmongers and murderers and bureaucrat actors who clearly love their own power far more than their own nation. That's not for me. Tulsi Gabbard is still, I believe, a sergeant. I don't know what her rank is. She said it last night. I can't remember. She's still actively serving in the military. Somebody who loves this country. She received an incredible ovation. Tucker Carlson, of course, brought the house down in what pound for pound was the best speech last night. which shouldn't surprise any of you, of course, because Tucker Carlson, in many ways, is sort of the high priest of populism in this country. And so this is the perfect, this is the christening of a movement that Tucker has been seeding in this nation for the better part of the last 2 decades. Tucker Carlson not only hitting the nail on the head, but establishing that the reason he supports Trump is because Trump allowed us to finally say the truth. To speak the truth. That is this. The people who lead this nation are the most useless Americans in this country. They are not deserving of wealth or power. They didn't earn it. They stole it from us. And it's time that we take it back. Here's what he said about Kamala Harris.
The first reason that people like Donald Trump is because he likes them. That's why. And it's real. Affection is something you can't fake. I don't care how many times Kamala Harris would tell me she loves me, I don't believe her. I saw her kiss her husband with a mask on. A mask on. That's her version of love. It's fake. It's not real. They spent 10 years telling you Trump is a hater. Do you feel that on him? No, you don't. Because it's not there. I've spent a lot of time with Trump. And there's not one moment I've ever been with him off camera where he's spending his time grousing about people he hates. Ever. He's talking about the people and the country he loves in his private time. Trust me. And people know in a country that has been taken over by a leadership class that actually despises them and their values and their history and their culture and their customs, really hates them to the point that it's trying to replace them, they know someone who actually has affection for them, and that's Donald Trump.
So, again, he's the high priest of populism. Tucker Carlson no one will be able to, while Tucker's still working, no one will be able to beat him. When it comes to the explaining of the energies of the current moment. Because so much of the energy of this current moment has been brought together by Tucker through monologues, through introducing RFK to Trump, through expanding the political map in directions that no other Fox host would dare do, or no other personality host would dare do. Questioning, asking questions, doing interviews, sitting down, and to people that tell Tucker that he can't do it, Tucker flips on the birds and says, F you. That actually, I'm going to do it even more. Tucker's been spied on by our own government. That's established and confirmed. He's been treated as an enemy of the state. And what kind of state does that to its political enemy? What kind of state tells a journalist you're not allowed to say that in a country with free speech? And Tucker says, wait a second, that is a cancer. We're going to defeat that cancer. And it was really special to watch Tucker, who we know and who we've worked with before, and who we love, and look around that arena last night and take in for just even a moment the movement that he so soundly helped create. Absorb it. It was neat. It was neat to see. One of those individuals who's adding exceptional energy to this movement and bringing it again, expanding it in places, and especially with young people, I would argue, at a way and at a pace and at a clip that virtually nobody else is Vivek. And he stepped up to the place last night and just knocked it out of the park.
If you want to seal the border, vote Trump. If you want to restore law and order in this country, vote Trump. If you want to grow the economy in this country, vote Trump. If you want to revive national pride in this country, vote Trump. If you want to stay out of World War III in this country, vote Trump. If you want to make America great again, vote Trump. I'm going to give you one more reason to vote Trump, and it's this. It's the one the media in the back, they won't talk about this. But they know it to be true. Donald Trump is actually the president who will unite this country, actually. And we don't talk about that enough. America First includes all Americans, regardless of their race, their gender, or their sexual orientation.
I texted Vivek after that. I said, man, this is a historic fumble to not come out to Eminem. Should have walked out to Eminem. Vivek famous for rapping Eminem during the primaries. And Eminem humiliating himself and his fans and any potential legacy that he has by endorsing Kamala Harris in a crying embarrassment. In something that, in like a moment that couldn't possibly recapture the magic of last night. We watch all these rallies. I don't go to Kamala rallies, but we do watch them. You can observe these things. You can see it on social media. Lizzo, Beyonce, Eminem, like no one, Obama is now out desperately trying to save his fourth term. Nobody is excited on on the libs. Nobody's actually excited. The authenticity is gone. These celebrities are we all know that they're monsters. We all know they're doing it for a paycheck. They lost their private flights on Epstein's jet. They lost their Hollywood movie roles on Harvey's casting couch. And they lost their Saturday night plans with Diddy parties. And so now they're hard up. And they gotta go grovel for money. They gotta go grovel for relevance. It's sick. It's dark. There's dark energy around it. And everybody knows it. And you can see it in these celebrities. When these celebrities get up there and they read these little like scripts that were given to them. Beyonce's speech was 3 minutes long. She didn't sing and people rioted because they thought they were going to go to a free Beyonce concert. Beyonce didn't sing. She read a script for 3 minutes and then walked off stage. It's a bait and switch. It's inauthentic. There's no life. There's no love. There's no energy. Contrast has never been more clear than when one of the greatest entertainers in American history, inarguable, walked on stage last night. And a huge surprise, Hulk Hogan. In a pink boa, the Attitude Era is back, baby. Attitude America is back with a giant American flag. Hulk Hogan comes walking out to his Real American song, waving his flag as he did in the music video, reminding America of the alpha greatness of the 1980s and that we can have it back. What a legend. And looking great. Hulk Hogan's in his 70s, dude. Looking great. He's in his 70s and he's put his body through a lot. Hulk Hogan there, just letting her rip. Giving a great speech, hamming it up, but it was actually what happened off stage that made all the news. Check this out. Hulk Hogan and Donald Trump arm wrestling. And that arm wrestle showing clearly that Donald Trump is winning that battle. Look at what a shot, man. What a shot. Just incredible. Just incredible. I would argue, and I want maybe Alex to sound off on this. I would argue that the loudest cheer of the night probably came for Elon. I deign to say it because I don't want to offend anyone. But I would say that the loudest cheer of the night came for Elon Musk when Elon Musk was welcomed on stage by Dr. Phil, of all people. What a world. Dr. Phil welcoming Elon Musk on stage. Possibly the loudest cheer of the night. Now, the reason why we're not playing audio with this is that they'll copyright strike the channel if we play somebody's music, and we do our best to like keep the show up and everything like that. But I think, boys, that the music doesn't start until later here. I want the people to hear the cheers for Elon Musk. I'm pretty sure the music doesn't start until later in this clip. So here we go.
Madison Square Garden, ladies and gentlemen, give it up for the greatest capitalist in the history
Just it was crazy, and I apologize. It wasn't actually Dr. Phil. It was it was Howard Lutnick, who's leading Trump's transition team. My apologies. Dr. Phil did speak last night and endorsed Donald Trump, so it's wild night. Elon Musk hearing the chant ladies and gentlemen, of the arena. This is a arena that is finally giving the love and appreciation to Elon Musk that he deserves. Elon Musk goes around the world and is treated like a rock star. Yet when the Biden regime has an electric car summit at the White House, they don't even invite the guy who invented the electric car. The guy who invented the electric car. The man who commercialized the most successful and probably the only durable electric car company in the world. They don't invite him because they don't like his politics. Elon Musk is beloved and is an icon everywhere except for the miserable cat women, over-medicated sociopaths of left-wing America that hate his alpha energy, that hate creating things, that are only here to gripe and bitch and be offended by jokes and to tear down, quite frankly. They would love nothing more than to destroy Elon Musk's capacity to create and innovate. Not this movement. Listen to the chants. I've been waiting for this moment. Elon Musk, of course, has been welcomed on stage very warmly. He's doing a series of town halls through Pennsylvania. We've been covering them. Elon Musk was at the Butler rally, and that was great. It was iconic, but there was nothing like this speech. This takes the cake. And Madison Square Garden was loud, and if you had a decimal meter, this was the loudest it got during the night. Here's the Elon chant. Finally, Elon getting the hero's welcome he deserves.
And America's just not just going to be great. America is going to reach heights that it has never seen before. The future is going to be amazing. Now, you guys are awesome. Honestly, this is like... Yeah. I mean, this is the kind of positive energy that America is all about. Yeah. USA, 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 USA. Ah! Yes.
Amazing, ladies and gentlemen. Amazing. ALX, was the Elon chant in there? I guess it wasn't. Okay. There was a time. There was a moment when the entire arena broke out in this roaring Elon chant. It was amazing. He had his little son there. He had his boy there. He had his mother there. He's a great American genius and will go down in history as one of the greatest geniuses to ever live. That history is being written currently. And we're not protecting our great geniuses, as President Trump says. And it's so important for that Elon Musk, that somebody of Elon Musk's caliber, somebody of Elon Musk's credentials and power, finds a movement that actually appreciates him, somebody who creates and not destroys. What's a single thing that George Soros has created? Has George Soros made anything good in your life? Has George Soros done anything good for you? I flew back this morning right next to Pam Bondi, who is the former attorney general here in the state of Florida. She's my neighbor. And we had a chance to chat. We had a chance to have a chat about what George Soros tried to do in this state to destroy this state of Florida. The left is a atomizing movement of destruction, and the right is a movement of rebellious creation and energy. And Elon Musk just absorbing that right now. I got to show you this Elon clip. Do we got that? I got to show you the Elon chant. Finally, Elon getting the love he so roundly and deeply deserves, maybe more than any other speaker this side of Trump. Elon Musk deserved this last night.
Now, you guys are awesome. Honestly, this is like...
Put a smile on your face.
Yeah.
Oh, man, it was nothing but love. Nothing but love. Ladies and gentlemen, we were able to see the love. We were able to see Elon actually with his son playing with his kid. Look at this. You can see him teaching his son how to fist pump. His cute kid stole the show last night. Elon is next to his mom, so you have like the entire family there. Melania Trump, of course, giving a beautiful speech as an introduction to Donald Trump, and Donald Trump's speech, one of the finest speeches he's ever given. A beautiful vision of what the future will be in this nation. Melania Trump welcoming her husband to the stage, just chills for the entire arena. And the perfect person, quite frankly, to welcome Donald Trump on stage. I was thinking that it would be Elon Musk, but actually it was Melania, and it couldn't have been more wonderful. Melania just wrote a love letter to the city of New York, and then welcomed the man she loves to the stage, to the thunderous roar of 20,000+ people, plus 10,000 people standing outside. I'm sorry, ALX, what were the numbers outside? Was it something like 100,000 people were watching outside because they put the entire event up on giant jumbotrons? MAGA hats filling the streets as far as the eyes could see in New York City last night for this man. Ooh. Oh, for this movement. I mean, it's not just about a man anymore. It's about a movement remaking the political landscape in the country. And it's fun, actually. It's really, really fun. It's a great honor to be a part of. This is our footage. This is us filming from our seats here. As Lee Greenwood serenades, of course. God bless the USA. Donald Trump's closer here caps off the night beautifully and perfectly. Can't say it better than the man himself. Here we go.
After all we have been through together, we stand on the verge of the 4 greatest years in the history of the USA. With your help from now until Election Day, we will restore America's promise. We will put America first, and we will take back the nation that we all love. We bleed the same blood. We share the same home, and we salute the same great American flag. We are one people, one family, and one glorious nation under God. We will never give in. We will never give up. We will never, ever back down. And we will never, ever, ever, ever surrender. Together we will fight, 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 and we will win, win, win. We're going to win, win, win.
We will fight, 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 and we will win, win, win. That's the new one, baby, and that's a banger. What an ending line for an ending night. It was just our absolute great honor to be there, and it's just an honor to be part of this movement. Don't allow them to lie. Look at Trump and Melania on stage. Look at that. Look at that seat. This is the movement that we're all creating together. This is the movement that we're all creating together. And we're going to win. I just can't believe we've been working so hard. And we're going to win. Alex and I were talking about it all last night. How is it possible? Like the journey that we've all been on. And to be at this point, they're only the hand of God. To God be the glory.
98,000 outside.
98,000 people outside. Not Killer Klein tells me 98,000 people were standing outside in New York. 98,000 people, that's way bigger than my hometown. There in Manhattan. Here's a shot of the arena. You can see what the full arena looked like. This is from our perspective, but look at this from up in the rafters. Man, you see the smile on Elon's face when you want to put a smile on someone's face, even the richest, most powerful man in the world, which is inarguably Elon Musk. Have 20,000 people roaring your name in Madison Square Garden. That's how you do it. That's how you shake even a man like Elon Musk. It's very special. It's very, very special. So, ladies and gentlemen, we thank you. We met a lot of subscribers last night. We thank you for giving us the power and the energy to be there and to tell this story. And we'll have our behind the scenes footage up for you today. Okay. And so we're just profoundly thankful, and we're gonna win. We're gonna win. We're gonna win. It's never been anything like it, ladies and gentlemen. Win with me. I don't ever give investment advice on this program, but there is because it's not what I do professionally, actually, and you shouldn't listen. Quite frankly, because that's not what I do. All right, I don't pick stocks. I'm no good at gambling. All right, I'm very, very conservative. It will come as no shock to you. But I have picked one investment, which is gold, and we have been slowly but surely buying gold when we get the chance to. We do so through our partners at Allegiance Gold, and that investment has done great. All right, that investment has done great. The gold numbers are very public. And we started buying gold a few years ago. And I got to tell you, in a world of just absolute up and down insanity in every market, and with collapses at hand or spiking at hand, or some of these people that are literal criminals like Sam Bankman fraud, man, it's good to just have like an actual commodity in your hand. Go to my friends at Allegiance Gold. Get $5,000 in free silver with a qualifying investment when you go to protectwithbenny.com or call 844-66-BENNY. Protectwithbenny.com. My friends at Allegiance Gold will take care of you. Performance may vary. Consult with your tax attorney or financial professional before making any investment decisions. All right, ladies and gentlemen, we had a lot to say today on the program. I am so thankful for our next guest for being so patient as we sort of like got through what needed to be said about what happened last night, because I want it on the record. We are 7 days away from the most important election in our lifetimes, and bringing clarity to that election is one of the most wisest, one of the most profound pollsters of our lifetime. Somebody who gets it right when everyone else gets it wrong. The great Rich Baris joins the program live now. The People's Pundit, and I know you were watching The People last night at Madison Square Garden. Rich, thank you so much for holding with us as we sort of pinned down what really happened in Madison Square Garden last night. A massive movement that is durable and that is real and that is centered around one man, but really is about all of us, showing a lot of love last night. And I think we're now seeing that play out in the numbers and in the polls. As somebody who has nailed this to the wall years ago on our show. Years. I had ALX pull the clip. Years ago, Rich, you said, without Donald Trump, this movement falls apart. There is no path for victory ever for a Republican ever again. But with Donald Trump, you may see a landslide. You said it. And boy, are you looking right today.
Yeah, I mean, you got to watch these events, Benny, because you got to take the pulse of people, right? I think a lot of people in my profession don't listen enough, and they talk. They offer their opinions, and they forgot that their job is to actually shut up and listen to the opinions of others. All right, and that's unfortunately something that a lot of pollsters, I mean, look at what happened last night with Larry Sabato at the Crystal Ball. He went on a block fest on Twitter, and I jumped on him. I did. I kicked him when he was down. I mean, look, he said something, it made a very clear anti-Semitic trope, very, very clear, but his head is exploding because this is a guy who's been like shown to everybody, Benny, for years. I mean, he was there when I was coming up, right? As this like impartial election observer and forecaster. And the truth of it is that none of that is true. And if I was not raised in a middle-class family, not with a silver spoon in my mouth, right? If I didn't spend all of my time like walking the halls of ivory towers, then I would not have heard the people either, and I think in the beginning, I almost didn't I'm going all the way back to 2016. But again, your job is to shut up and listen. And if you do that, I mean, this will not, what we're looking at on the screen, it won't surprise you. And also, you won't think that pinning a comedian's joke about Puerto Ricans is going to suddenly stop this massive shift among non-whites that really has been going on since the man came on the stage. Like, this is something, and I sent your team a couple of pictures and graphics of what our national poll looks like. It's not out yet, but I wanted you to see it, Benny. I thought
Please, we have them. We have them ready for you. So let's go through it, buddy.
The first one I sent was black men. You can, and by the way, we oversampled. So all the crosstab divers and skeptics, all right, they always, the first thing they'll say is, well, it's a subsample. It's a large subsample. Black voters overall were 20% of the sample that we gathered because we wanted to make sure that this was, real toward the end. It didn't bleed. What you're looking at is black men. She's at 64% with black men, and he's at 28%. And by the way, that's 7.8 undecided. When you lean them, Trump basically breaks even with them. So he is for real this high with black men. It's insane. And it's not, in 2020, when we saw the movement with black men, and people even discussed it back then, nobody saw the movement with black women. And he wound up more than doubling his support with black women. This year, pollsters are seeing that. It's not as much as obviously as black men, but if we go to the next slide, that's women. All right, so he's at 12% with black women. Folks, this doesn't happen in polling for Republican presidential candidates. And not my polling. We had him at 8-9% of the black vote overall in 2016. We had him at overall just under 12% in 2020. We are not one of those polls that overstate non-white support for Republicans. We don't do that. And you can see it here. Next, if you got the next slide, is Hispanic men. Watch this. That's Hispanic men.
Rich, this blows my freaking mind.
That's Hispanic men. And that 9.6 that's undecided, it's too late to be undecided. We push everybody. Look, it's a week before the election. You have to tell us who you're going to vote for. And they, Hispanic men as well, break for Donald Trump. So he's going to perform. It looks like he's going to do the best of any Republican presidential candidate with black and Hispanic voters, non-whites in general, since 1960, since Richard Nixon in 1960.
Rich, are you asserting that Donald Trump will win the popular vote?
Let me preface this with a caveat. Trump is going to have a slight lead in the popular vote in our poll. And locals knows this. Nobody else does. We did very well with the public polling project toward the end. We had like a burst of interest. For people who don't know, it's a crowd-funded operation, right? We don't take money from corporations or committees or PACs or candidates or anything. It's completely funded by the public. And people wanted to see it. They wanted to see more. So I think we're actually going to be able to do a 3-day rolling average until Sunday or Monday, right before the election. So, we'll see where it ends up. But this is the problem and why I was a popular vote skeptic for Republicans for many years. And people who have followed me, they know this is true. I have been telling people, just put the popular vote out of your mind until Republicans do much better with non-whites. It's simply not mathematically possible. You cannot do it on the backs of white voters alone, which is why the Romney wing and the McCain wing of this party had to basically die and go away. And the movement wanted to be a national political force, had to be the dominant part of this party. And it is, by the way, we track that. I mean, even Republicans who tell us they're Republicans, we ask them, are you an America First Republican? Or what, people refer to as a traditional Republican. America First has taken a lead for years now. After, some of the nonsense with January 6th, it did tighten a little bit, but that has blown up since the primary, and the party hasn't looked back since. And by the way, Trump even wins traditional Republicans. He did throughout the primary process. It was just a smaller margin. But yeah, MAGA has been ascendant, and with it has been this new, younger, less white coalition. And that is how you win the popular vote. That's why Republicans were boxed out for all of these years, Benny. It's because they couldn't do 40% of the Hispanic vote. Trump can. They couldn't do 15 or more of the black vote. Trump can. So
I want to talk about your slide here. Are you telling me that Trump may win Hispanic men? Can we please go to the
No,
Hispanic men's slide?
absolutely.
You're telling me that, we're within the margin of error here, and that if you lean those 10% undecideds, where do they go?
They go to Trump. They go to Trump 55-45. I'm rounding.
Wow. Well, that's a win. That's a win.
Could even be more at this point. Let's see. And here's the thing. You don't need to do as good as, George Bush's team claimed he did with Hispanics, which he didn't. He got around 40. But you have to do around 40 or more. And here's why. We've been looking at this and talking about this for about a year now. It looks to me that Hispanics are going to outvote black voters this time. For the first time ever, they will be a slightly larger share of the electorate. Now, it's so close it could go either way, Benny, but they of course have the potential to do that. They refuse to flex their political muscles every time we come to an election, and they just don't vote at the rates that black voters vote at, or Asians, right? And this year they have been telling us consistently that they are more certain to vote than black voters. And they, of course, are an increasing share of the population and the voting eligible population. So it was only a matter of time. And I think this year, this will be the first time in history Hispanics will outvote. And that's a problem, of course, for Democrats, because it changes the math. So if a Republican loses 1 point with the white vote, they have to make it up 6 points among black voters. Well, not anymore, because if you do that well, with a segment of the electorate that's going to be about the share of black voters or slightly more, then that changes the math entirely, Benny. So if you go, from 27, Mitt Romney got, paltry in the 20s. John McCain got clobbered with him too. Trump did better in 16, but he never hit his full, what we always thought was his potential. In 20, he did very well, but it was isolated. Parts of South Texas, parts of Florida, right? This looks like it's everywhere now. I mean, it's all through the Sun Belt. Even in some of those Rust Belt states, we see him doing better with Hispanic voters than he is nationally. So it's only a small share of the population, like a Michigan, but he did very well in Michigan with Hispanic voters in 2020. It was basically 50. He lost them by 10 points, if we believe the exit polls. He lost Hispanics by 10 points in Michigan. I think it's going to be even closer than that this year. I really do.
This is what Real Clear Politics is showing. No lean. Okay, no lean. And I know you are a very harsh critic of some of the ways that other pollsters put their data together. And some of that poisonous data I think is factored in here, like Morning Consult.
It is.
Morning
Consult, perfect.
Yeah. Yet, Rich, look at this map.
Yeah.
Do you agree with this map?
Listen, I almost don't, and I'm going to tell you why. Well, the 312, when you run various, and we've done this with Locals Group, we've explained this to them. When you run various simulations, when you're modeling, and this is obviously based on polls, but there are other variables to use in election forecasting. The highest frequency return is Trump at 312. All right, so if Trump wins, it is most likely that he will win with 312 electoral votes. These fantastical scenarios, or more, by the way, fantastical scenarios that we see where Trump wins Pennsylvania, but he loses Wisconsin and Michigan. Folks, the Great Lakes states and Pennsylvania have voted together for every election since 1988, when Michael Dukakis was able to peel away Wisconsin because Dukakis was a leftist of the highest order, a Northeastern liberal, and it worked for him. But before that, even, you would have to go back to when there was basically a home region candidate, and one of the three states would vote differently. Sometimes it's been very close. Like in 2016, Michigan was 10,000 votes, yet it still voted with Wisconsin and Pennsylvania. George Bush came within thousands of winning Wisconsin in 2004, but guess what? He lost it, and all three still voted for Kerry. So it is possible that those states break up their votes, but it is not likely. And the reason is simple. It's just overlapping demographics. And as we get more into the future, that will change. But we're still in a place now where one could narrowly vote for another candidate, but it is not likely. And then also, there's one state that neighbors Wisconsin, which everybody in the private polling knows is much closer than some of the public polling suggests, and that is Minnesota. And if they have a collapse like the one that listen, nobody wants to say it out loud, Benny. But like,
do it, brother.
Everybody in my industry they'll like go on the shows, talk about how tight the polling shows it is, and then get off the show and go, she's about to get crushed, right? And I think like I am in the school of thought that really does believe when you see polls are close, and they are. All right, some of them, especially in the popular vote, you're talking about 1 or 2 points each way. When it trend is very clear and it's emerging at the late stages of a campaign, it's why we use the word wave. It's like a wave, and it just rolls over everything. It is not 2004 again. It's just not that kind of an election, right? And the country is not that. We're not that country anymore. We're just not. We're in the middle of a realignment, so I do expect there to be surprises. But just keep this in mind too. Because there is another state, and that of course is blue on that map. Twice, Donald Trump outperformed among Hispanics in New Mexico versus how he did nationally. So he won more of the Hispanic vote in the state of New Mexico than he did nationally overall. Biden's entire margin was given to him by Hispanic voters in 2020. In 2016, Trump won whites but lost Hispanics, right? And it was close. In 2020, they tied with whites, and it was like 49-49, and then Biden won Hispanics, and that gave him his margin along with other small shares of non-white voting electorate, right? If Trump does better with Hispanics in New Mexico than he does nationally, it's simple arithmetic. It will be very, very close because it's hard to see that happening without him winning whites. Right. Yeah, I mean, because there are a lot of liberals in Albuquerque. Right. Let me just put it. There's a reason why Trump is going to New Mexico. Trump is going to Minnesota. Trump is going to New Hampshire. Right.
Yes.
He's going to Virginia, and she is on her heels. All right. When you see a campaign end like this, losers are always the ones talking about he wouldn't go on 60 Minutes. Losers are always the ones who are defending states that they should have locked up by now. It's October 28th. Right. So, if Trump wins next week, I mean, I think we're going to be back here on your show, Benny, saying, like, didn't we all really see this coming? Right?
Bro, you've pinned it to the wall for years on this program. So I wanted you to take an early lap. I want to have something to stick above my mantle, okay? With Rich Baris saying, no, get ready. You might have Virginia. So leading into this conversation, there is this panicked article that was published in Politico, I think it was like 24 hours ago, about Kamala Harris reorienting staff, campaign, and ad buys in Virginia.
Yeah. And
what's going on in Virginia?
And she canceled them in neighboring North Carolina. Just so people understand where I am in North Carolina, there is one, this, I don't even know what to call him, like this local celebrity, radio celebrity. I don't have to embarrass him and get into it. He's certainly more of a traditional Republican. They pulled all their advertising on that station. They're done. They're out. So she's basically ceding North Carolina. When candidates pull, now she's running ads, the ad buys on TV that were already purchased and done. But when you see candidates taking money from one state, which is considered a perennial battleground, right, and putting it into a state that is considered a blue or blue leaning state, there's a problem for her. And the thing is, we've seen this in Virginia before, and I think Virginia is a heavy lift. It is possible, and you shouldn't rule it out if you're a Republican, but it is heavy lift. I just want to be honest. I'm always honest with people. That being said, we've seen this before, Benny, haven't we? Right? Then the Washington Post is like Democrat plus 14, right? For Mark Warner. And then all of a sudden we get a week or two before the election, and that falls to 8 or 9, and then 6, and then and then all of a sudden Ed Gillespie is 2,000 votes away from Warner, right? So some of this is like, you have to think about that when you're deciding as a campaign where to go and what to do, right? So Trump is in a position where he can take a shot and say, look, I think it's closing quick, and I think her lead is very soft, so I think we should go there. And I remember, like it was yesterday in 2016, I didn't really talk to Steve Bannon. Like, obviously, everyone knows Steve and I are friends, right? But we weren't like that back then. And I remember Larry Schweiker basically saying, hey, you are polling Minnesota, aren't you? Let me see that. And it was like 2 points, 2.4% her lead was. And next day, Trump is in Minnesota, or 2 days, he like does a detour. He was in that position where he could go. Think about if he went to Minnesota a few times in the closing days of that campaign.
Bro.
It needed, it needed a tiny, not a push. It needed a tiny little poke to just tip it over. That's how close it was. So yeah, if you're Trump, you take the shot here. You take the shot.
So he took a shot last night.
Yeah.
At Madison Square Garden. And we spent the show sort of debunking and then establishing, cementing, ironclad, like what we experienced last night. And I think that it was a profound night in American politics. Many are saying, why would you spend resources? I mean, it costs a lot of money to do an event at Madison Square Garden. Why would you do that in the heart of New York? I saw it as symbolic. I saw that as, New York is the capital city of the Empire State of America.
Yeah.
So many Americans became Americans, or their families entered this country in New York for the American dream. I saw this as symbolic, but also I saw it as almost the demonic, ravenous screaming that's happening about this is because Trump can do this in a blue city. Trump can turn a blue city red. And there was a flashing red warning sign to places like New Hampshire, Virginia, Minnesota, New Mexico that says, I can do this, right? And I think that's what Madison Square Garden was about. And it was almost like doing a campaign rally in Minneapolis in a way, to say I will drink your milkshake. I can come into your city and I can turn it red.
Yeah.
That was my takeaway. Rich, as you observed, maybe your thoughts.
That, and he also has a long look. So do I. People like Donald Trump and myself are from the same area, right? So he's Queens, obviously. I'm from a different borough, but we have watched and witnessed the greatness of that state over the years decline, but you'll never lose your love for it, right? The Hulkster will always remember what? About Madison Square Garden. His moment of his life happened in Madison Square Garden. I think the Garden is a national rally. He could go to Madison Square Garden, put that on, and everyone in America is going to be watching it. And believe me, they're gonna, if they didn't already, right?
Yep.
And they're gonna see clips of it all over. They're gonna watch the Hulkster tear his shirt off. They're gonna listen to Elon Musk just be funny, right? I mean, that was a love fest yesterday, despite what the media is saying. And it's like they're doing this closing argument and talking about threats to democracy. And the voter yesterday, there was a voter in Georgia who I'll once in a while get one of our agents will be like, hey, you got to listen to this one, right? So it transcribes and I'll listen to him. And that voter was like, and I tweeted something this morning. I was basically channeling this voter, okay? And I try to do that. I like to do that on social media a lot. And basically, it's like totally lost on these people that they're talking about threats to democracy when only one party here basically has an illegitimate has an illegitimate candidate and rendered null and void the votes of more than almost 15 million people. And they're going on and on about threats to democracy. It's just fundamentally unserious. And the only thing they could do, the only reason why they're doing this, and they're going to seize on the Puerto Rican joke, is because they need to generate their base. They selected instead of elected the leader of their party to represent their party, and now they're stunned that nobody wants to vote for her. Right. So it's weird. I was wondering if this was going to show up in the polls. And honestly, Benny, it didn't that much, but it is showing up in the vote. And you could see it. It is. And this guy in Georgia, a Biden voter, it's like this. She had weeks to just tell me two things. One, show me you're ready for the job, because really we don't know that much about it. You haven't done anything. And then two, why are you going to be different than Joe Biden? And instead of using that last week, because it's over now, the train's left the station, Benny. Everyone who works in campaigns know this week is like an execution week. The week before was the closing argument week, when you have to convince the last persuadables out there to break your way, right? Those people who tell us they're undecided really are not undecided. All right. They immediately, you know what, come to think of it, I'm leaning to Trump, or I'm leaning to Harris. They're not undecided. They're full of crap. Everyone knows this who's a veteran in this business. And instead of using that time wisely to meet the presidential bar and allay people's fears. Why are you going to be different than Biden? She did this. They all did this. And they're going to seize, instead of doing what their campaign needs them to do, they're going to seize on a comedian's joke, right?
Yeah.
They're wasting their breath talking to each other. And there's nobody who's going to care or appreciate this closing argument other than people who are voting for Harris to begin with.
Yes.
So this is unbelievable to me that they're doing this. It's a level of like, it's a thickness of a bubble none of us have ever seen. That's why it hasn't popped yet, right? It's durable, and it's like a level of tone deafness that I really feel like we need a new word or something. So because it doesn't really capture what I'm trying to say here with these people. It's like they're just
political malpractice. Bro,
really
you're already losing men. I mean, you're a man, right? You're a man. You're like living in this world. You're hustling. You're grinding.
Yep.
Donald Trump's party is appealing to you, not just on your personal level, but on on a numbers basis.
Yeah.
It is clear that young men are for Trump, and they're going to spend their last breaths. They're going to waste their last breaths on this campaign attacking Kill Tony, attacking effectively Joe Rogan. Attacking Joe Rogan. That's what they've decided. They've decided to attack NFL players like Nick Bosa, who wore a MAGA hat on TV last night, to attack athletes that are endorsing Trump, to attack masculine, hysterical comedians who tell jokes that guys love to laugh at. They're going to shame him. They're going to try and cancel Tony Hinchcliffe.
They will, yeah.
And Joe Rogan. That's how they're going to appeal to men, bro. And to do their final like salvo to men is, here's AOC playing Madden with Tim Walz in some type of like creepy dorm room. That's it. Like, this is malpractice, brother. This is political malpractice. It's going to be a hysterical election night, I believe.
White Dudes for Trump runs an ad basically showing a young loser who looks like he still lives in mommy's house masturbating, and then a white guy comes in his bedroom, and I guess it's supposed to be a Trump figure or a Republican senator or something, basically threatening to take away his porn. I mean, you really think that that's the route to go down when voters, of all races and different ages, certainly voters you would never think would vote for a Republican, are talking about eggs. They're concerned, the price of gas and eggs and groceries, and they're concerned for the future of their children. It's like they've leveled the biggest insult to the American voter ever in the history of campaigning. They didn't, at least Biden, while he hid in his basement, he was at least speaking to the fears of people out there about COVID and things they cared about at the time.
Sure.
They're generating whatever they think people should care about, and that is just insane. And I know what they're doing. They're trying. They look, the pick of Tim Walz, if it wasn't obvious before, that pick should have made it obvious to everyone that they were not going to try to appeal to the middle. They were not going to try to win back some of the Biden voters who were telling everyone from us to the New York Times they made a mistake and they're going to vote for Trump again. They weren't going to do that. They couldn't pick Shapiro because he's Jewish, he's a Jew, and too much of their party is anti-Semitic. That would have cost them Michigan. So they thought, let's pick neighboring Waltz and just try to gin up our base with wokeness. That was the plan, as if she's Barack Obama and she can drive the electorate to D+6, lose independents by 5, because Obama lost them in 2012. He lost them Mitt Romney by 5, but it didn't matter because Romney's base was so depressed and Barack Obama got his base out. He cannot recreate that for people. We have seen this over and over again. He couldn't do it for Hillary Clinton. He couldn't do it for Charlie Crist twice in Florida. He has tried. They will not impose onto another candidate. They liked Obama, and that's it. And there are now just too many people who voted for Obama who now support Trump. And they think the answer to that is to waltz Obama out there, with Mr. Freak Boy, who, let's be honest, looks like he's a pedophile, right? Like, if you saw Tim Walz anywhere, would you say, well, that's a strong guy, I want him to run the country? I want him a heartbeat away from the office of the president. No, you would say, doesn't that guy drive a white van and the windows are all spray painted and something? You know, like, that's what you would say if you looked at Tim Walz. You would not look at him as he's a strong leader. And they waltz Barack Obama out there with him. They waltz out Michelle Obama, and they insult black people. And they lecture them like, you know what? You're just not a good black person if you're not going to vote for this woman. You know, I mean, that is insane and insulting. And it's unbelievable that they don't see it. You know, it reminds me of what Clinton and Team Clinton did at the end, but it's on a whole nother level. Like, Clinton kind of even embraced the deplorables and then went for it and then tried to say, you don't want to be one of them. Right. And she thought that would work. This is on another level. This is knowing that they didn't want this candidate and telling them, screw you. I don't care. The donors want her, and that's it. And it's tough. You got to suck it up. And then, you know, it's also knowing that voters want to talk about different issues and them saying, we don't care. We want to talk about this. Well, that doesn't win you votes. It certainly doesn't win votes back that you've lost.
Yes.
And I mean, again, go look at the New York Times poll, folks. Don't take my word for it. Look at the 2020 vote. He's beating her on Mind Changers 2-1, 3-1, depending on the ballot scenario, meaning they voted for Biden in 20, but now they're switching their vote. There is almost nobody who voted for Trump now voting for Harris. Almost nobody. It's actually statistically insignificant. There's a little less than sign before the one, folks. Okay. There's nothing there. And then, of course, statistics are always going to have some people who say it during interviews. And then with Harris, it's like, did you vote for Biden? 2-1, 3-1 margins that they're now going to Trump. I mean, remember, folks, he lost the election in 2020, not by 4.5 points in the popular vote. He lost the election because of 40,000 votes across a few swing states. You cannot have a 2-1, 3-1 margin of people changing their minds from the prior election and think you're going to win this thing. Come on. Or we're all wrong, Benny. Or everybody's wrong.
Yeah, that's right. Everyone's wrong. Tucker Carlson last night saying, we don't believe you. When you tell us that Kamala Harris gets 85 million votes, we don't believe you. We know it's not true.
Yeah.
Like Tucker Carlson prefacing that, and I think that's a dagger through the heart. But beginning to drive the drum that's like, no, she didn't get 85 million votes. We know she didn't. You're gonna try and lie to us, and like, you better not, because the game's up. Nobody likes her. She has no authentic support. She has no real voters. Everybody is fleeing her. That's what all the data says. And you're not going to be able to manufacture the narrative that she's some type of like historically popular candidate. You can't do it. It's not going to work again. So my last question to you, Rich, is this. What's this map going to look like? I don't think we have a map that we could actually paint it for you.
Yeah.
But you say that you agree with this. You say 312.
I think it's the most
312 is the delta that typically hits, right, for the incidents when you run your numbers. But is this what you agree the map's going to look like? Do you think there's going to be something that flips? What's your bet? You know, because it'd be fun to do this show a week from now.
Yeah.
Or 10 days from now and talk through see if you were right. Do you have anything? Are you willing to put your chips on the table?
Yeah.
What's your bet?
I mean, I am. I think, look, I always trust the data. I do. My gut is telling me that something is going to be a surprise. I don't know New Hampshire. I've always been very skeptical. I saw the poll. There's a poll from the New Hampshire Journal out. Trump took a lead after being down pretty badly in that poll. And the University of New Hampshire poll stinks. Sorry, it just does. So you can just throw it out. And I don't think they've done a final yet. But still, I just think New Hampshire is very educated and it's tough. I honestly think Maine would probably flip before New Hampshire would, which is on my list of surprises, by the way. Be very careful with Maine. There was DRI is a great pollster. There are very, very few people who know how to poll Maine. Everyone blows it every year. Go look it up. And DRI had this thing basically a coin toss. We'll see what their final is, but I really do think that Maine is one of those surprises, or a Minnesota or a New Mexico. Those are my top three, even before Virginia. It's just because why? Because of what we're seeing, what shifted this electorate 4.5 points from 20 to 24. Those states would be they would be harbingers because their states have large shares of their voting population that include those people in its own way, shape, or form, right? Ethnicity, for instance, right? I mean, the swing with Norwegians, we go down to ethnicity in the Great Lakes states because it matters so much there. If you do well with Norwegians, can you also do well with Swedish and Finnish, who are more liberal? So, I mean, he is. So that's why I think that Minnesota is, without a doubt, it's going to be close if that map is 312. 312 is the most likely outcome. I think this week what you're going to see is they're going to decide whether or not they want to start, how much they want to press. Like, you know, keep an eye on how many ballots are returned in Clark County. Okay. Like, listen, and why am I saying this? I'm not taking, look, go and vote. That's why. Go vote. You have to execute. Go and vote. But Democrats usually put their best foot forward in these states in the early vote early. So 4 days into early voting in Nevada in 2020, Joe Biden had already built that 20K firewall. So like, this is not happening yet. Keep an eye on, let's see what they're willing to do in this final week when you already have people like Tim Cook calling Donald Trump and saying, hey, let's be friends. All right. So why are they doing that? You think I have access to data? What kind of data do you think Tim Cook has already seen? They've been texting me for the last 10 days at 3 times a day. Go vote early. Go vote early. Next to a little story from Apple News about how Trump's a bad person. We all see you, Tim. We all know what you're doing. All right. So he obviously doesn't think the numbers are there, and he's calling Trump to make nicey nice. Jeff Bezos. You think he cares if Jennifer Rubin unsubscribes? That's not where Jeff gets his money from. He cares about the contracts, baby. And that's why he's not letting them endorse. And that's why he's not making a powerful enemy that he thinks, he's convinced is going to be president again. Right? So this map, I do think, and people are like, Nevada, it's always like that great white whale for Republicans. But here's the kicker, folks. I've been calling it, think of it like an event horizon, a political event horizon. Happened to Florida. It's going on with North Carolina right now. It's been happening in Nevada as well. They simply don't have the voter registration edge that they once had when Hillary Clinton barely won it. When Joe Biden, even though the country moved 4.5 points or more, actually, to the left from 2016, Nevada didn't budge because Nevada's been getting redder. It's just that it didn't hit that event horizon yet. And I think what we're seeing now is we may be at that event horizon. So their registration edge is a third of what it was when Joe Biden built up that 20K firewall in Clark County. It has decreased. They have bled that many registrations. So I do think that's, again, this is the most likely map if Trump wins. The first one I would say would go, Benny, would be Minnesota. I think that or Virginia. I mean, Minnesota's been to the right of Virginia now for the last 2 presidential elections.
We'll book you. We'll book you 10 days from now, Rich, and we'll see if Minnesota. Man, brother. How glorious would that be? That'd be
like my great white whale, because I've been arguing for years. I don't even know, since I was a kid, if Republicans were just more populist in nature, in their platform, they could take Minnesota. That's why the Minnesota Democratic Party is not the National Democratic Party. They don't stay anywhere near those blokes. They know that they're bad news. And if they do align themselves with the National Party, they're going to lose it. And they know it. So they're going to keep that ancestry. They're going to keep that basically that Democratic culture of being an independent Democratic Party for as long as they can. But Minnesota was Biden +7. Virginia was Biden +10. In 2016, Virginia was Clinton +5, but Minnesota was Clinton +2. So I'm telling you, it's to the right of Virginia. If Virginia goes, it means Minnesota and likely Maine were gone already. They're gone already. So if Virginia goes to Trump, I'm telling you, but expect Minnesota to be gone. Expect it. That's the kind of election landslide it would be. So,
wow. Jeez, you're talking up to 400 electoral votes then.
There is, like, everyone laughed at Sean Spicer the other day. He said there's a scenario where he can get to 350, and there is if she goes down hardcore. There absolutely is. And everybody was laughing at him. But the fact of the matter is Republicans are doing exceptionally well in both states, Virginia and Minnesota. I just don't understand why people think there'll be isolated areas where Democrats are suddenly going to have a burst of participation. That's just like, show me an election where that's happened, Benny. Show me. It doesn't work that way. All right. If a race gets away from somebody, it's gone and it takes off. Like, that's why it's called a race, folks. It's called a horse race. And if one horse starts to pull away, it gets ugly real quick. It gets ugly and embarrassing. That's how elections work in this country.
All right. Well, and don't talk too much about horses. You get Tim Walz too excited. And that guy's gonna need all the help he can get for this heavy lift. Okay, here we go. Rich Baris. Everybody follow the People's Pundit. You know him. He's freaking famous. He's one of the best out there. Maybe the best out there. He's never told us a lie. Got to tell you, that's tough in his business. 300,000 Americans can't be wrong. Follow Rich Baris, known as the People's Pundit, and make sure that you subscribe on Locals and you check out all of his work. God bless you, Rich. Thank you.
All the best, my friend. See you soon. Thanks as always.
Ooh, man. Okay, so we have some salty libs. I mean, we had a packed show today. We're just stacked. We're going to have stacked shows all week. We're going to keep the energy. We were redlining all weekend, doing multiple shows and traveling. It's awesome. And we love it. This is the energy. We're not going to quit. Team never quit. Team always grind. Let's grind some salt into our friendly lib friends. Mika. We got some salt for you. Here we go. Mika losing her mind on the Trump rally in New York last night. Now, Mika wants to pretend that she broadcasts out of New York. They actually broadcast together out of her and Joe's house here in Florida. LOL. But they fake it that they're in New York, and they put up all the New York skyline in background. So here they are from their fake New York set, muling and having a panic attack about what Donald Trump did in their backyard.
Back to Morning Joe. Donald Trump held a rally yesterday in New York City at Madison Square Garden. His supporters packed the arena for what the Trump campaign called a closing message to voters. The setting was interesting given the history. The event featured nearly 30 warm-up speakers, some making extremely offensive and racist comments about immigrants, Democrats, and Vice President Kamala Harris. A radio personality received cheers from the crowd when he said, and I won't say the word, effing illegals get everything they want. A described lifelong friend to the former president called the vice president the Antichrist and the devil, all while waving a crucifix on stage. Another speaker compared Harris to a prostitute with pimp handlers. And a former Fox News host mocked the vice president's racial identity, sarcastically saying she is impressive as the first Samoan, Malaysian, low IQ, former California prosecutor ever to be elected president. There was also a comedian who made extremely vile so-called jokes about Latinos and Puerto Rico.
These are the most joyless, unhappy, hypocritical people. They're offended at these jokes, yet they have Lizzo. Have you ever read the allegations against Lizzo? Have you ever read what all the people that work with Lizzo have sued her for? To my understanding, that lawsuit is still actively going. Usher is one of those people who was ushered into power and prominence by Diddy. They welcome him at the rally, and they wanted to put a freaking rapist in the White House with Bill Clinton. Knowing what Bill Clinton does to women, they want to put that back. They voted in the tens of millions to put Bill Clinton back in the White House. And they're going to play this card that they're that they're so offended. Holier than thou? No, man. No. Not going to work. Not going to work. Let me tell you something that does work, though. Something that has worked, especially in this current political and economic environment. American financing, ladies and gentlemen. Today's economic environment is extremely stressful for us. But with the Fed finally dropping interest rates, there's no better time for you to put your family in a better financial position. If you're a homeowner, American financing is helping thousands of families just like you who have been putting everyday expenses on credit cards crawl out from underneath a pile of debt, something that our nation actually needs to do, that Elon Musk will help out with the government efficiency organ that he's going to run. Thank God. American financing is kind of like the same thing, right? It helps you get more efficient. It's helping save their borrowers over $800 a month on average. $800 a month is like $10,000 raise at work and costs absolutely nothing to find out how much you can save. So call today, 888-528-1219. That's 888-528-1219. AmericanFinancing.net/Benny. That's AmericanFinancing.net/Benny. Ladies and gentlemen, NMLS 182334. NMLSconsumeraccess.org. That is, ladies and gentlemen, a wonderful salvo and lead into something that I think is particularly wonderful that also blends into the news cycle here. Nick Bosa is this NFL superstar, celebrity, who crashed a broadcast last night in a MAGA hat. Talk about somebody who is doing a bit of America financing himself. Nick Bosa is one of the biggest celebrities in the NFL, one of the best players in the NFL. And homie's crashing interview. Do we have the actual clip? I know we can't. Can we not play the clip because it was struck? Okay, all right, got it. Okay. Well, it's all over social media, so please, it's on our page as well. Nick Bosa running up with his gold MAGA hat, and then everybody smiles afterwards. The entire so he's standing there. Do we have at least the still image of everybody smiling? So then he jumps in, he MAGA bombs in the middle of San Francisco. Rich Baris is talking about expanding the map. This is the middle of San Francisco for the San Francisco 49ers. He MAGA bombs the broadcast with his gold and white MAGA hat. And then the expression on everybody afterwards, even including the reporter, is they're all doing this this little smile, this knowing smile. Oh, it's just great. Just fantastic. Ladies and gentlemen, let's bring on the great ALX for our ALX update. And we'll talk about this phone. This is great. Here we go. ALX, this is not the dark Gothic MAGA hat, okay? But it is the gold and white MAGA hat. And this is the image that we were talking about with everyone smiling afterwards. So this is after getting MAGA bombed. Look at everybody laughing, including the reporter and some of the other superstars there on the San Francisco team, which is probably heading to the Super Bowl this year. This is MAGA team in downtown San Francisco. And you and I were at the MAGA rally in downtown New York last night. What energy, baby.
So that's basically that face means I agree with what you're saying and doing right now, but I'm not going to say it. Actually, so I was on my flight this morning and I put this on X. The pilot said, I like the black MAGA hat. And then the flight attendant said, oh, I didn't even notice that was a MAGA hat. That's really cool. So it's like, everyone is kind of having the same kind of reaction to that. They're like, yeah, a little head nod. It's like, yep, we know. And everyone else knows. And this is a plane going from New York to Boston too. So it's like, the liberal bastion of there's the dark Gothic MAGA hat.
Dark Gothic MAGA hat. Where can you get one of these, ALX?
So actually, I didn't want to get ahead of myself, but since you asked, I do have some breaking news.
Ooh. That's what the show's all about, baby.
It's in the script if we want to put it up, Klein. The Trump campaign has actually put this on their official merch site. So you can
go
now get the official Elon dark Gothic MAGA hat right on.
Let's go.
There it is.
Look at this. ALX manifesting the dark MAGA. Tell me, ALX. What was the inspiration for Dark Gothic MAGA?
So the origin story actually is, so when Elon took the stage at Butler and he said, I'm not just MAGA, I'm Dark MAGA. His comment is, oh, the font needs to be scary, or the font needs to be, intimidating and like cool. And he's like, yeah, almost like Gothic, like, and unreadable. So then I went out of my way to create that hat actually, and sent it over, and got one for myself and sent one to him, and he liked it. So he wore it on the stage. And then I guess the Trump campaign has now adopted it as official merch. So that is what happened.
It's not just have front row seat to history, is actually affecting history and the course of the country through Dark Gothic MAGA, which is such an awesome looking hat. I mean, look at that. Such an amazing looking hat. I don't have any problem with the font of the original MAGA hat. Of course it is iconic. We have one right here. Hold on. But you can see the distinct,
spooky.
The distinct, yeah. It is perfect in time.
I have mine right here.
Oh yeah, please. So that everyone can see. There you go. Oh yeah.
There's the font.
Yes.
Yeah, look at that.
The age of empire.
Yep.
When you see beautiful old buildings like in New York, that's the font. That's the scripted across the buildings. Rockefeller Center, that's the font. Like back when we used to build things, that's the font. That's all over buildings in downtown Chicago, right? Like we were there for the DNC convention. These epic, legendary, like buildings of iron and rock, like they're carved in with Gothic font and Gothic architecture. Many of them. America was supposed to be Art Deco. It was supposed to be this empire nation. And now you are fusing it all together.
He was hyped last night. That was
awesome. We were sitting together there. I think it was a shock to both of us to be brought sort of up to, I guess, Trump's box. I guess you could like call it nothing more than that. And Elon's speech was something else. And as ALX with the X update, as somebody who's been an Elon whisperer, I think would be maybe the best way to say it. Your takeaways from that speech. For me, my friend, it seemed like I've never seen Elon vibe like this. The man seemed to be more in his element than ever.
Yeah, I know. So he did speak at the Butler rally, but there's kind of a difference between outdoor and indoor rallies too, because it's like with the outdoor rallies, you hear a cheer, but like you're outdoors, so it goes off, but you're indoors in Madison Square Garden and it like echoes, and you can like feel the energy of people like chanting your name or cheering and screaming. And like you said earlier, I think he got the loudest cheer of the night when he came out. And
do you agree?
I think, I think so. I think I agree. Tucker was a close second. I think Vivek, got the loudest applause lines consistently during his speech. But when Elon came on and when he walked off and during his speech, he got a very loud chants and applause. But yeah, I think this is his first like actual like indoor speech with a crowd of this size. So it's his first time hearing that feedback from the crowd. And I mean, he's held like the smaller town halls in Pennsylvania in the past month, but nothing like this. And he was just like, I guess, taking it all in real time. And it's just like insane to see him get involved in politics. And it's really refreshing to see because he's all in at this point.
What I think is quite interesting is that if you listen to what Elon says, it's far less to do about politics. It's far no more to do about the soul of the nation, which is something I kind of want to like step back and observe here, which is it was not a Republican rally. This wasn't about the Republican Party at all. Yep. This was about like what kind of a nation do we want to live in? What kind of country we want to live in? Mm-hmm. And that's how you can see Tony Hinchcliffe and Dr. Phil and Hulk Hogan and Elon Musk sharing the same stage, when I think many of those people might not share the nuance of the policies, along with RFK and Tulsi Gabbard, right? All together, they're on stage, and they're all being applauded. The roof's getting ripped off in Madison Square Garden for all of them, right?
Yeah. Yeah.
And so that's a movement, actually. That's far more than a political party.
Oh, yeah, 100%. And like what RFK was saying, the Democrat Party left him. That's one of the, if you remember, when Elon, the news came out about like him donating to Republicans and everything, there was that meme of like him standing in the middle and then like the left wing like moving further and further over. That was like one of the moments where he officially started like publicly saying that he was a Republican or conservative because of, you know, the standards of today's Democrats. And like RFK was saying, they left him and named off like everything that the Democrats used to stand for: anti-war, pro-free speech, all of this. And now they're the complete opposite, which is why, like, you know, he can no longer identify, Tulsi can no longer identify, and Elon can no longer identify with the party anymore. So, and, you know, like Elon voted for Obama, Elon voted for Joe Biden. And I feel like there's a lot of cases like that where people are just like, this just isn't our party anymore. And it's refreshing to see Elon actually, you know, putting his money where his mouth is and actually doing something about it and campaigning. But yeah, and like you mentioned, it wasn't a Republican event. It's pretty funny they're calling it like the Nazi event or whatever, and it's the most politically diverse, you know, speaker lineup that we've ever seen at a major rally. Meanwhile, like Tucker's point was, he's like, what a world, following Bobby Kennedy, and meanwhile Kamala Harris is campaigning with Liz Cheney. Like, what does that tell you? It's like Joe Biden has gone on record to saying that Dick Cheney is the most dangerous vice president in U.S. history, and now they're parading his endorsement out, and Liz Cheney's endorsement out like it's some, you know, trophy. And it just says more about them than it does about us, that all of those uniparty candidates, I know George Bush hasn't endorsed and isn't officially endorsing, but like that vibe of, you know, the Cheneys and the Clintons, all of those people are now on the same side, and they're chanting on like the establishment. So it says a lot more about them than our party, which is, you know, drawing in other, you know, views like Tulsi and like RFK.
Much of the footage that we've played today was taken by ALX, and ALX could have taken this photo. I don't think that you did, but you could have taken this photo. This looks like an AI, dude. We have an AI that looks kind of similar to this, of like MAGA marching through the streets, right? That Jamie created.
It reminds me of that. Yeah.
It looks like an AI. Tell me, like, you saw this yesterday. You physically saw this. The entire city of New York was painted red with MAGA.
Yeah, for blocks and blocks. Because so me and Benny got in at 2 different times, and I was actually going to go get footage of this, which was the main line. So I was going there, and they actually shut down like part of the street because they were, you know, overwhelming it so much. They shut it down as I was going there, and then I was going around to the other side, and the VIP line was actually like, you know, at that point like 3,000 people long, and that was at probably 10 in the morning, and doors didn't even open until like 12, and the rally didn't even get started officially until 5. So like, for this energy in New York City is insane to see. But like, yes, all the streets surrounding Madison Square Garden, you just saw a sea of red hats, and then the surrounding areas, like everyone was like recognizing you, and like the crosswalk stopping you for pictures. Like, it's something to see in a blue city. But yeah, and like Elon recommends, people like wearing their MAGA hats in public, because social proof is really, really powerful. When you see other people that are Trump supporters in a blue city, you know that you're not alone and you're not the only person.
Yes.
Because living in blue cities, they want you to think that it's normal to be a Democrat. Like, there's signs in Massachusetts that say Harris Waltz, obviously, because that's the attitude everyone has here. It's like, oh yeah, we obviously all agree here because we're Democrats, and, you know, hive mind in blue cities. So that's kind of that. And that's powerful for them because they want control over, you know, the hive mind of everybody living there. But if you see a scene like this in New York, maybe more people will actually start wearing MAGA hats on a daily basis in blue cities like that.
Or Gothic, dark MAGA hats.
Yeah. Yeah.
That is now available.
We call it understated, as Trump said it.
Understated. We
black
have
on black. He says it's understated.
I have an announcement for. We typically don't do staff announcements live on the show, but we might as well. ALX, you have my approval to order everybody on staff a dark Gothic MAGA hat. Okay, you have my approval. Let's get it. Let's do it today. Let's do it today in honor of course, ALX's genius and fashion sense. I want to just give you the floor here, just to give your parting shots, right, on like what you experienced yesterday. We spent at least 12 hours rallying yesterday.
Yep.
We were there early. The campaign treated us wonderfully, and the people there were immaculate. The vibes were immaculate. But I've said my piece about it. ALX, what's your takeaway message about what you experienced yesterday?
Yeah. So I'd like to say too that like Trump has always had this as kind of like a pipe dream, because growing up in New York and making his name in New York, Madison Square Garden was always the biggest thing, the biggest stage, and just like the idea of him doing a political rally there was kind of like a pipe dream, like in 2020 or in 2016, no one would like ever think about it. But this is potentially the most ambitious campaign I've ever seen. In terms of like campaigning in states that aren't considered battleground states, in terms of unity building and coalition building with people like RFK Jr. or former Democrats, or all of these people that you would not think would be Trump supporters, like Dr. Phil. Like that shocked me, seeing that. Like it's just I think the overall vibe was unity, and that's again ironic because they called it like a Nazi rally. They're like, oh, it's a terrifying, fearful rally. It's like, this dude's a comedian, and a Democrat has never been to a comedy show. And if you go to a comedy club, and a lot of Americans understand this, that are actually real people and not robots that talk online and in the media, and who aren't career politicians. But if you go to a comedy club, you're going to hear 10 times worse than what was said on that stage. And guess what? Everybody in the room is laughing, not standing up explaining why it's not funny and why you have to be offended. Everyone in the room is laughing because it's fun. And everyone, should have a sense of humor and lighten up. It's not that serious. But yeah, the overall energy was positive yesterday. We had people stopping us in the street, stopping us in the stands, coming up to you, had a selfie line. So just like the pressing of the flesh and the in real life element to what we're doing online was just really powerful as well.
Yes.
But then just the energy of all the speakers, like they had 20 plus speakers back to back to back to back. And then Elon, Trump, those two powerful names on a stage together is just insane. But yeah, that's the overall message, I think, is unity that we saw. And it's very powerful.
Very powerful. Much like this meme that's been created for you by our team while we were live. Here we go. This is the ALX. Let's do the reference. Let's just do reference. This is the ALX Gothic, the Gothic South Park character with the Gothic MAGA hat on, which works actually really well. In fact, it works very well. I approve of this as a South Park fan, and then ALX as the.
Very good. I also wanted to note that I look extremely tired, like that character, because I got 2 hours of sleep last night.
Nobody slept.
Nobody slept. Rally went late. We had
we all went in
flights, but yeah,
we all
Yep.
We all went in. So I mean, guys, I mean, it's actually a perfect day to make ALX this South Park character, because none of us have slept, and this is actually what goth people. This is how goth people live. So. Just in time, ladies and gentlemen, making history, not just witnessing history, which is special enough, and we've gotten plenty of that on this program, but making history is the goal to save America. And ALX is doing that with Dark Gothic MAGA. Ladies and gentlemen, available today in the Trump store.
Find the link on my X page. It's my last post.
There you go. And here it is, ladies and gentlemen. The X page of ALX. Klein's got, there we go. And up. 816,000 Americans can't be wrong. Inevitable. ALX. You might have to change your profile photo, my friend.
It's the dark MAGA hat.
You might have to. You work with Jamie on that one today. See you, brother.
See you, man.
baby. All right, here we go. Sunday was a wild day and was a day that I'll remember for the rest of my life. But today is Monday, and you know what that means. It means Monday Gun Day, brought to you by Spike Tactical. Bro, there's this story that is so wild. And it's so perfect for this current news environment. We wanted to cover it so badly last week, but things have been happening at an RPM that is really hard to actually keep up with. So we weren't able to cover it. When this initial story broke, this guy's running against Josh Hawley in Missouri, which is a gun-loving state. Shout out in the chat if you're from Missouri, which is a state that loves their Second Amendment. There's this guy named Lucas Kuntz who is running against Josh Hawley in a doomed race for the Senate in Missouri. Now, he was doing a day at the gun range where he was behaving like a complete and total jackass, shooting targets with rifles like 5 feet away from, shooting metal targets with rifles like 5 feet away. Don't do that. This is like guaranteed way to hurt yourself. And of all people, freaking Adam Kinzinger, who's the doughy guy there in the photo here, looks like a Pillsbury mascot now. Should probably like go on the road, Tampon Tim. He can get sponsored by Kleenex. Crying and eating his feelings. Adam Kinzinger, who's supposed to know, he's like I think he was in the Air Force. You should know how to handle a rifle. You should know this is idiotic what you're doing. Anyway, they end up wounding a reporter who was here to cover this event. A reporter got hit with shrapnel. There's a reporter got like gushing blood from his arm. We don't want these things to happen. We are massive advocates of legal and safe gun ownership. Look at Adam Kinzinger's face. Oh no, he's the guy in the blue shirt. Look at this guy. And this is the candidate standing there. So what a disaster, these guys. What an absolute clown car. These people. So they shot a reporter. Now that's being investigated. Let's read. A report from the Daily Wire indicates that the Senate candidate Lucas Kuntz of Missouri Tuesday gun range event is under investigation after a reporter was wounded by a bullet fragment or part of a target that bounced back. Breitbart News reported that a local TV station's reporter, Ryan Gamboa, was hit by a bullet fragment during the range time. Hours later, Kuntz described the outing as a great day at the range, even though a reporter was literally shot. So Josh Hawley up here posting, serious question, Missouri law requires any person who causes injury from a firearm to file a report with law enforcement immediately. Did Lucas Kuntz do that? Failure to do so is a crime. Oh, man. Oh, this is just beautiful. Let's go ahead and read everything that they did wrong. Compliments of our friend Sean Davis at the Federalist. It's just exceptional. He is the CEO and co-founder of the Federalist. Sean Davis. Things they did wrong at this gun range. They're shooting steel targets 5 to 7 yards away with rifles that could have killed somebody given the force with which the bullet can ricochet off the steel target at a distance. You would instantly get permanently banned at my range if you did that. Don't do that. Kinzinger holds a rifle like a complete ninny. Never thought it would be funny to me. Pro tip, Adam Kinzinger, use the eye protection. It works better when it's on your eyes, not your head, you stupid idiot. Kinzinger is for some reason using a high-powered scope, at least a 3 by, excuse me, using a high-powered scope by the look of it to shoot targets 5 yards away. There's a bolt-action rifle on the table, so presumably somebody was also using that to shoot steel at 5 yards away. And that could have potentially killed or seriously injured somebody if they'd shot it. Why is that downrange? So stupid. It could have been that, actually, that got the steel ricochet, and that would have blown up, like everyone. At one point, the cameraman is downrange from all the guns. which, given the violations we've seen so far, you can assume was not safe, and they were not unloaded. These morons are so stupid that even after shooting someone who was injured entirely due to negligence, they thought it would be an awesome idea to post the evidence of their idiocy online for the world to see. Lawyer up, dummies. This reporter could have killed you. You could have killed this reporter. He has you dead to rights. You should be sued. Yeah. We are advocates of responsible gun ownership. We are advocates of the people who don't know how to handle guns, that want to take away your guns. Those people never getting near power. Josh Hawley, of course, is somebody that we want to win in this race. Josh Hawley is a great American. He also comes from a great American family. Here's Josh Hawley posting that my grandmother is a better shot than Lucas Kuntz. And here's his granny, presumably looks like maybe 80, 90 years old. Granny ready to get wild at the range. And there you have it, ladies and gentlemen. The Monday Gun Day, brought to you by our friends at Spikes Tactical, who have gone 2 days at the range with us. Let me tell you, we blew up Tannerite with Spikes Tactical and some of our great friends over there. And we had a great day at the range. We actually blew up copies of the Communist Manifesto a couple months ago. Nobody was ever in any danger while we were firing our Spikes Tactical weapons, because we're not imbeciles. We're not idiots. And the best advice here is if you are a gun grabber and a weepy lib, like, you should just stay away from the gun range. I encourage everybody who wants to practice their Second Amendment rights, and you have to practice these rights and use these rights for us to keep them, to go to the gun range and train. You should always train. But if you're going to be like, they should be banned from gun. Everybody who was involved in this should be banned from gun ranges forever, because they're a danger to themselves and those around them, obviously. Ladies and gentlemen, that's our Monday Gun Day, brought to you by Spikes Tactical. All right, crazy show today. We had a lot to get to and a lot to talk about, and we had I just had a bee in my bonnet this morning. We call it no sleep. Again, we literally landed like minutes before the show, raced into the studio, and we're ready to rock and roll. And we're just profoundly thankful for our team in this movement. It's made real, as Alex talked about, it's made real when we go to events like this, how exciting this work actually is, and how good it is for the soul, how bountiful it is to protect this great nation. They won't make another. This is our country. Dig your heels into this black dirt in this beautiful nation and say, yeah, this is my home, and be proud of that. And don't let them ever tell you otherwise. The red hat stays on. It was a historic moment, and Donald Trump should do a rally at Madison Square Garden every year. Maybe every month. Ladies and gentlemen, we're going to win. Speaking of winning, as a final little addendum to our show today, the cookie tally from Lochel's, am I saying that right, Ashley? Lochel's Bakery. Donald Trump has posted. This is a bakery in Pennsylvania, and it is Lochel's. Well, my apology. From Lochel's Bakery, Donald Trump has won the cookie poll. Not by a little, by a landslide. And some of these wonderful cookies were sent to our home by Ashley, who lives in Philadelphia and is a customer of Lochel's. And, well, they're delicious. And we just wanted to we gave you a lot of scientific polling on the program, a lot of algorithmic and scientific polling. And, well, this is a poll too, and a much tastier one. So we thank you, Lochel's, for sending us cookies. My kids very much enjoyed them, and it was a tasty treat. Trump's gonna win, man. This is in Bucks County, right, Ashley? This is in Bucks County, and the cookie poll is a freaking landslide. Here's my girls with their endorsement. It's gonna be going to be a couple years before they're eligible to vote, but there they are with their endorsements sitting there in the garage. So, ladies and gentlemen, these cookies are delicious. We encourage you, if you are in the area or if you want to order online, go to Locals. They're awesome. And thank you again for the tastiest poll. We've talked about thousands of polls on this show. This is definitely the tastiest and most enjoyable one. So thank you, Locals. Your verse of the day from Proverbs 2:21. Decent people will live in the land. People of integrity will remain in it. The wicked people will be cut off from the land, and treacherous people will be torn from it. Let that ring into the ears of every person who has tried to destroy this great nation, that the moral and the victorious and the decent will remain, and that those people that try to destroy this place will be cast out. Yeah. We're here for it. We're here for it. We vote in 7 days. Go and early vote if you wish, please. I intend on doing that here in Florida. But as Kill Tony said last night, God voted 3 months ago. I profoundly believe it. Ladies and gentlemen, it's your boy Benny. This is the Benny Show. We out here, and we're going to win. See ya.
The war has turned.
Vive la liberté. You must order the surrender.
How could it come to this? An army of rabble, peasants. Everything will change. Everything has changed.
Truth gon' be faith and freedom on your TV screen. Stand up strong, battle through the night. The Benny Show's here, bringing liberty to light. From the speeches to debates, Benny sharp like a blade, cutting through the lies, watch the truth cascade. With the warrior's heart, this man never fades. You know it's prime time when Benny invades. From saving the nation to stories untold, the Benny Show's a storm, see the truth unfold. Stay in the loop, let freedom take hold. Salting all the libs, soul never sold. It's the Benny Show, where the truth gon' be. Faith and freedom on your TV screen. Stand up strong, battle through the night. The Benny Show's here, bringing liberty to light. Liberty to light. Bringing liberty to light. Liberty to light. Bringing liberty to life. From the speeches to debates, Benny sharp like a blade, cutting through the lies, watch the truth cascade. With the warrior's heart, this man never fades. You know it's prime time when Benny invades. From saving the nation to stories untold, the Benny Show's a storm, see the truth unfold. Stay in the loop, let freedom take hold. Salting all the libs, soul never sold. It's the Benny Show, where the truth gon' be. Faith and freedom on your TV screen. Stand up strong, battle through the night. The Benny Show's here, bringing liberty to light. Bringing liberty to light. Bringing liberty to light. Bringing liberty to light. Bringing liberty to light.